The morning shift at Greenview General Hospital began like any other, until the automatic doors slid open and a muddy stray dog trotted inside, carrying a dripping black garbage bag in its jaws. At first, the staff chuckled at the sight, expecting scraps or trash. But when the dog refused to leave, barking and pacing, the air shifted. Something about the way it guarded the bag sent a chill through the hallway. Nurses exchanged uneasy glances. What could possibly matter so much to a stray? No one knew that inside that worn plastic bag lay a secret, powerful enough to stop everyone cold. The morning shift at Greenview General Hospital began with the usual rhythm of squeaking carts and the soft beep of monitors. Nurses traded night reports over steaming cups of coffee, while sunlight spilled through the tall glass windows of the lobby. Patients checked in, a delivery truck idled outside, and the day promised nothing more than routine. Then at precisely 7:42 a.m., the automatic doors hissed open with a sound sharper than usual. A murmur rippled through the reception area as a mud-splattered stray dog trotted inside. Its golden-brown fur was soaked from an earlier drizzle, but what truly caught everyone's breath was the black garbage bag clenched tight in its jaws. The plastic sagged with unexpected weight, faintly dripping onto the polished floor. For a moment the scene seemed almost comical. A few visitors chuckled, assuming the dog had stolen lunch leftovers from a dumpster, but the animal's stance silenced the laughter. It didn't wander or sniff around. Instead, it stopped dead center in the lobby, paws planted firmly, eyes bright and unblinking. The bag swung slightly as the dog adjusted its grip, and a dark, wet spot spread across the tiles beneath it. Nurse Alicia, closest to the entrance, took a cautious step forward. "Hey there, boy. Where'd you come from?" she said gently. The dog lowered its head and gave a low, warning growl, not menacing, but desperate. The hum of hospital life slowed to a hush. A security guard paused mid-stride, clipboard in hand. Patients craned their necks from the waiting chairs. Something in the dog's tense posture and the careful way it guarded the bag felt different from a scavenger's prank. Outside, a siren wailed in the distance, then faded. Inside, the stray stood unmoving, its eyes fixed on the humans gathering around. The morning's easy routine had shattered. Whatever lay inside that black bag had brought the dog here with a purpose no one yet understood. The lobby doors whispered shut behind the stray, but the dog remained rooted where it stood, a silent sentinel with the dripping black bag still clenched in its jaws. Every attempt to draw closer met the same sharp response. When a security guard edged forward, palms open, the animal lowered its head and let out a low, vibrating growl that seemed to echo off the sterile walls. Nurse Alicia stopped in her tracks. "Easy there. We just want to help," she murmured. The dog's ears twitched, but it didn't budge. Instead, it shifted its weight, muscles tense as if ready to spring if anyone came too close. The plastic bag swung slightly, making a faint slapping sound on the tile. Curiosity thickened the air. Receptionists peered from behind their desks. Patients leaned forward in their chairs, and even a passing doctor paused mid-step. What could matter so much to a stray that it would defy a room full of people? Security Officer Dennis approached from the side, careful and deliberate. "Let's guide it back outside," he said quietly, signaling another guard to circle around. But before they could move, the dog snapped its head toward them, eyes flashing with sudden urgency. It barked once, loud and sharp, then resumed its watchful stance. The sound startled everyone. A toddler whimpered. A man in a wheelchair muttered, "It's protecting something." The idea settled heavily in the room. Minutes stretched. The dog neither attacked nor retreated. It simply stood guard, tail stiff, breathing fast but steady. Whatever lay inside that bag wasn't garbage, and the animal's unwavering determination made it clear. It would not leave until someone understood the message it had carried into the hospital. Tension gripped the lobby as the minutes ticked by. The hospital's usual calm, rolling gurneys, distant monitors, was replaced by a heavy stillness broken only by the dog's sharp breaths and the occasional squeak of wet paws on tile. No one wanted to admit it aloud, but the question hovered over every face. What's in that bag and why won't it let go? Officer Dennis exchanged a glance with his partner Mark. "Let's try the slip lead," he whispered. Mark retrieved a looped leash from the security desk and approached in a slow arc, keeping his movements steady. He extended a hand with a piece of leftover sandwich from the break room, hoping to lure the dog forward. The stray's reaction was immediate. It stepped back, teeth bared just enough to warn, then lowered the bag protectively. A low growl vibrated through the floor tiles. Mark froze, the sandwich trembling in his hand. Nurse Alicia tried a softer approach. "Hey, sweetheart," she cooed, kneeling to appear smaller. "It's okay, we're not taking your treasure. We just want to help." The dog's ears flicked toward her voice, but its body stayed tense, tail stiff as wire. Dennis nodded toward the revolving doors. "Maybe if we guide it out, it'll drop the bag," he suggested. Together they formed a loose semicircle, inching closer to herd the dog toward the exit. But with each careful step, the animal countered, pivoting just enough to keep the bag centered and secure. A murmur spread through the watching crowd. "It knows exactly what it's doing," someone whispered. Even the skeptical receptionist who had first laughed now stood silent, hands clasped. After 10 long minutes, Dennis lowered the leash with a frustrated sigh. "This isn't working," he admitted. "It's not running, it's waiting." The word lingered in the charged air. Whatever compelled this dog to carry a black garbage bag into a hospital wasn't random hunger or fear. It was purpose, and that purpose, still hidden inside the sagging plastic, had everyone holding their breath. The uneasy standoff dragged on until a sudden sound broke the silence, a faint rustle from within the black bag. It wasn't loud, just a subtle shift like something small stirring against plastic, but it sliced through the tension like a knife. Head snapped toward the bag. Even the dog flinched, adjusting its grip and letting out a low, urgent whine. Nurse Alicia's eyes widened. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. A few patients nodded, their expressions tightening. The receptionist who had joked earlier now covered her mouth with her hands. Officer Mark took a cautious step closer, squinting at the glossy, rain-speckled plastic. Another faint movement pulsed beneath the folds, accompanied by a barely audible squeak or sigh, too soft to identify. "That's alive," he murmured. The dog gave a sharp bark and repositioned the bag between its front paws, as if to shield whatever lay inside. Its tail wagged once, not in play, but in an almost pleading rhythm. Then it looked straight at the humans, eyes shining with a strange intensity, half warning, half request. Dr. Patel, a physician who had wandered into the lobby on her way to rounds, crouched carefully beside a column. "If something living is in there," she said quietly, "we can't wait too long. Lack of air, stress, it could be dangerous for whatever it is." A nervous buzz spread through the gathered staff and visitors. Some suggested it might be a trapped animal. Others feared something far worse. Dennis tightened his jaw. "We need to see what's in that bag," he said, voice low but firm. The dog responded with another soft whimper, pressing its nose to the plastic as though to comfort its hidden cargo. The room held its breath. Whatever mystery the black bag contained, it wasn't just weight or garbage anymore, it was alive, and time might already be running out. The faint movement inside the black bag sent a ripple of unease through the lobby. Conversations broke out in hurried whispers, each person clinging to a different explanation. "It's probably just a litter of kittens," an elderly visitor offered hopefully, though her trembling hands betrayed her doubt. A young intern shook his head. "Could be a trapped wild animal. Raccoon, maybe. They can bite." From the corner, a man waiting for lab results muttered, "Or something worse. People dump strange things." The implication hung heavy in the sterile air. Officer Dennis tried to restore order. "Everyone stay back," he instructed, motioning to keep a safe distance. But his own eyes kept darting toward the shifting bag, betraying his curiosity and worry. Nurse Alicia crouched again, her voice gentle. "Sweetheart, if there's something alive in there, let us help." The dog lowered its head, ears twitching, but didn't move. Instead, it gave a single mournful whine and pressed its nose to the bag as though to reassure the unseen occupant. Dr. Patel straightened, her brow furrowed. "If that's a baby animal, hypothermia or suffocation could set in quickly," she said. "We don't have much time," but another staff member hesitated. "What if it's something dangerous? Chemicals or who knows what someone might put in a bag like that?" The conflicting voices filled the space, hope, fear, compassion, suspicion, all circling around the quiet figure of the stray dog. It stood motionless but alert, eyes following each speaker as if weighing their intent. Outside, the drizzle turned into steady rain again, tapping on the glass doors like an impatient clock. Inside, tension grew thicker. Whatever lived in that black plastic was more than a mystery now. It was a fragile life caught between rescue and risk, and every argument wasted precious seconds. The voices in the lobby rose and fell like an uneasy tide until Officer Dennis finally stepped forward, his expression set with quiet authority. "All right, everyone," he said firmly. "We need to clear this space now." For a heartbeat, no one moved. Then the urgency in his voice sank in. Nurses began ushering patients and visitors toward the hallway, murmuring reassurances as they guided wheelchairs and curious children away from the tense circle around the dog. Chairs scraped softly against the floor. The receptionist powered down the front desk computer. The once busy lobby thinned into a wide, echoing space. The stray never flinched. It stayed rooted in the center, black bag pinned between its paws, eyes darting only to track each departing figure. When a small child waved a hesitant goodbye, the dog's ears twitched, but it held its ground. Nurse Alicia stayed close, crouching low as she spoke gently. "We're just making room, sweetheart. No one's going to hurt you." Her calm tone seemed to steady the animal, which let out a low sigh, half growl, half weary breath. Dr. Patel quickly briefed Dennis. "We need an isolated area where we can control the environment. Oxygen levels, temperature. If there's life in that bag, every second matters." Dennis nodded, scanning the quieted lobby. The minor procedure room off the East Hall is empty. Good ventilation, easy access to supplies. Mark fetched a rolling gurney while Alicia laid out clean towels and gloves. They worked quickly, every motion deliberate. The drizzle outside turned heavier, drumming against the tall glass windows like a countdown. Finally, Dennis addressed the small remaining team. "All right, we move together, slow and calm. We give this dog no reason to panic." The room held its breath as they formed a careful path toward the east hallway. The stray lifted its head, eyes bright and searching, as if it understood the plan. One thing was certain. Whatever secret lay inside that black bag was about to follow them into a place where the truth could finally be uncovered. The east hallway of Greenview General was quieter than the bustling lobby, its linoleum floors gleaming under soft fluorescent lights. Officer Dennis led the way, motioning for everyone to stay calm and silent. Behind him, the stray dog followed without resistance, carrying the black garbage bag with surprising care. Each step echoed faintly, the plastic rustling like a whispered secret. Nurse Alicia kept a respectful distance, speaking softly to the dog as they walked. "Good job, sweetheart. Almost there." The animal's ears flicked toward her voice, but its focus never wavered from the hallway ahead. Inside the minor procedure room, stainless steel counters gleamed and a faint antiseptic scent hung in the air. Towels and medical supplies were neatly stacked, ready for emergencies. Dennis gently closed the door behind them, shutting out the distant hum of the hospital. Dr. Patel pulled out her phone and quickly dialed the local emergency veterinarian, Dr. Elena Ruiz. "Elena, we have a situation," she explained, voice low but urgent. "A stray brought in a sealed black bag with something alive inside. We need expert hands." On the other end, Elena didn't hesitate. "I'm on my way. 10 minutes tops. Keep the animal calm and the room warm." Dennis exhaled, relief mixing with tension. "Good. We'll hold steady until she arrives." The dog settled in the center of the room, laying the bag carefully at its paws. Its chest rose and fell in quick, shallow breaths. It looked from one human to another, eyes glistening with an almost human plea. Alicia knelt, resting her palms flat on the floor to appear non-threatening. "Help is coming," she whispered, unsure if the words were for the dog or herself. Outside, rain rattled against the small window like impatient fingers. Inside, time slowed to the rhythm of quiet heartbeats and the soft rustle of plastic. All eyes were fixed on the door, waiting for Dr. Elena to arrive and unlock the mystery sealed inside the black bag. The minor procedure room felt like a held breath. Stainless counters gleamed under bright lights, and the soft hiss of the air vent was the only sound until Dr. Elena burst through the door, rain still speckling her dark jacket. She carried a small medical kit and a calm urgency that filled the room. "Show me," she said simply. Officer Dennis stepped aside, and everyone's eyes turned to the stray dog. The animal rose slowly, ears twitching, then nudged the black bag forward with its nose. A soft rustle came from inside, faint but unmistakable. Dr. Elena crouched low, her movements deliberate and soothing. "Easy, friend," she murmured, offering her hand for the dog to sniff. The dog hesitated, then gave a quick lick to her fingers as if granting permission. She examined the bag without touching it at first. Water droplets clung to the stretched plastic, and faint puncture marks, tiny half-moons, suggested careful carrying. Warmth radiated from within, surprising given the cold room. She tilted her head, listening. A subtle sound met her ear, a muffled squeak, high and fragile. Her eyes widened. "Something alive," she whispered. Nurse Alicia swallowed hard. "Could it be puppies? Kittens?" "Possibly," Elena said, scanning the seams of the bag. "Or something in severe distress. Whatever it is, it's weak but still breathing." The stray let out a soft whine, lowering its head until its muzzle brushed the plastic. The gesture was unmistakably protective, maternal even. Elena's voice sharpened with quiet resolve. "We have to open it, but carefully. If the creatures inside are cold or injured, every second matters. Prepare warm towels and an oxygen mask." The room buzzed into motion. Towels were heated, gloves donned, instruments readied. The dog stayed close, eyes never leaving the bag. In that suspended moment, as the sound of tiny life pulsed faintly beneath black plastic, everyone felt the weight of the mystery deepen. Whatever lay hidden inside wasn't just alive, it was fragile, urgent, and carried here by a messenger no one would ever underestimate again. Dr. Elena reached for a pair of surgical scissors, her gloved hands steady as she prepared to cut the knot sealing the black bag. The room seemed to shrink around the table where the bag rested, its faint rustles and soft squeaks almost drowned by the quiet hum of fluorescent lights. But the instant the metal blades touched the plastic, the stray dog lunged forward with a sharp bark that ricocheted off the sterile walls. Everyone jumped back. The sound wasn't a snarl of aggression, it was desperate, pleading. The dog planted its paws on the edge of the table, eyes wide and frantic. "Easy, easy," Dr. Elena said quickly, holding still. "I'm here to help." The dog's chest heaved as it looked from her to the bag and back again, as if trying to communicate something vital. A low, throaty whimper followed, softer but no less intense. Nurse Alicia stepped closer, her voice calm and coaxing. "Sweetheart, we're not taking it from you. We're trying to save what's inside." She crouched to the dog's level, meeting its eyes. Slowly, the animal's breathing steadied, though it kept one paw protectively on the plastic. Elena set the scissors down for a moment and reached out an open hand. The dog sniffed her glove, then pressed its wet nose against her palm, a hesitant signal of trust. "Good," Elena whispered. "Stay with me." The room collectively exhaled. The dog backed a step, still watchful but no longer blocking her. Elena picked up the scissors again, her movements slow and deliberate. Each tiny cut released a faint, warm breath from inside the bag, carrying a fragile scent of life. The dog whined softly, pacing in place as if counting every second. Everyone leaned closer, hearts hammering. Whatever waited beneath those folds of black plastic was close to being revealed, but only if the humans and their determined canine partner could keep the fragile truce intact. The tension in the small procedure room softened the moment the dog pressed its nose to Dr. Elena's gloved hand. Something about that quiet gesture, trust hard-earned and freely given, changed the mood entirely. The fear that had hovered in the fluorescent light began to melt into something else. Respect. Nurse Alicia felt it first. She lowered her voice to a gentle murmur. "This isn't a stray just looking for food," she said, eyes shining. "This dog came here for a reason." Officer Dennis, who had kept one hand near his radio the entire time, slowly unclipped it and set it aside. "She's protecting whatever's inside," he admitted, his tone softer now. "Not guarding it from us, guarding it for us." Even Mark, the skeptic who had first tried to slip a leash over the animal, crouched low to meet its gaze. "I misread you, didn't I?" he said quietly. The dog flicked its ears but kept focus on the bag. Dr. Elena resumed her careful work, each precise snip of plastic followed by a fresh wave of faint warmth. "She brought it here because she trusted humans to help," Elena said. "That's extraordinary." Around the room, shoulders eased and faces softened. The bag no longer looked like a threat but a fragile delivery, something entrusted to them with desperate hope. The dog seemed to sense the change. It settled beside the table, resting one paw lightly on the edge, eyes never leaving the bag. A soft whimper escaped, almost like a sigh of relief. In that moment, everyone understood they weren't merely solving a mystery. They were part of a rescue that this determined animal had started all on her own. The black bag on the stainless steel table was no longer just an object. It had become a promise, and each person in the room silently vowed to keep it. The procedure room grew hushed again, but the tension had transformed into focused urgency. Dr. Elena placed the scissors aside for a moment and glanced at the small team gathered around her. "Okay," she said steadily. "We open the bag now, but we have to be ready for anything." Nurse Alicia nodded and laid out warm towels fresh from the dryer, their steam rising in soft wisps. She placed a portable oxygen mask and tiny IV supplies within reach, her movements quick but deliberate. Officer Dennis positioned himself near the door, not to block but to ensure a clear path if emergency equipment was needed. The stray dog stayed close, chest rising and falling in anxious rhythm. Every time Elena adjusted her gloves, the dog's ears flicked, as though it could sense the importance of each motion. "Everyone keep voices low," Elena instructed. "No sudden movements. Whatever's inside could be in shock or worse." A collective breath seemed to pass through the room. The faint rustling inside the black plastic continued, a fragile heartbeat against the silence. The dog whined softly, pressing its paw against the table leg as if urging them on. Elena positioned the scissors at the thickest knot and met Alicia's eyes. "Warm towels ready?" "Ready," Alicia whispered. Outside, the rain drummed steadily on the small window, a metronome counting down the seconds. Inside, every person leaned in, hearts synchronized to the delicate sound of life that waited, unseen, just beyond the thin wall of black plastic. Dr. Elena drew a steady breath and slid the scissors beneath the damp knot of the garbage bag. The room held a single collective heartbeat. With careful pressure, she began to cut, the plastic giving way with a soft, sticky tear. A warm puff of air escaped, carrying a faint, earthy scent. Something alive. Everyone leaned closer. The stray dog pressed its nose against the opening and whined, tail trembling with urgency. Slowly, Elena peeled back the first layer of black plastic. A sudden movement inside made her pause. For an instant, she caught the glimmer of something pale and small. Then a soft, unmistakable cry filled the room. Nurse Alicia gasped. "That's a baby animal. It has to be." Elena's gloved fingers worked carefully, revealing more with each deliberate cut. A tangle of damp blankets emerged, and within them a tiny shivering shape the size of a teacup. Fur matted, eyes sealed shut, its fragile chest rising and falling with desperate effort. Another faint squeak followed, then another. "There's more than one," Elena murmured, heart quickening. She gently lifted a corner of the blanket and revealed a second tiny body, nestled close to the first. Both were weak but alive, their fur still warm from the protective wrapping. The dog let out a sound between a whimper and a sigh, its gaze never leaving the fragile bundles. In that small, sterile room, the mystery of the black bag cracked open. What had begun as a morning of confusion now revealed a life-and-death delivery, two newborn creatures saved by the most unlikely of couriers. For a long moment, no one spoke. The only sounds were the soft squeaks of the newborns and the steady hum of the room's ventilation. Dr. Elena gently examined the tiny creatures, her trained eyes moving from fragile paws to thin, heaving chests. "They're barely days old," she said softly. "And chilled, but their pulses are steady. They still have a chance." Nurse Alicia reached for a heated towel and wrapped it carefully around the two pups, their damp fur already beginning to dry. "How did they get here?" she asked, voice tinged with wonder. Elena's gaze drifted to the stray dog sitting beside the table, its eyes bright with relief and fatigue. Puncture marks on the bag's plastic told their own story. The dog had carried the bundle across wet streets for who knew how long, never tearing it open. She must be their mother, Elena concluded quietly. She hid them somewhere during the storm, then brought them here when she realized they wouldn't survive without help. Officer Dennis exhaled, shaking his head in disbelief. She knew to come to a hospital. Out of every place in town, she chose here. Alicia stroked the mother dog's damp fur. "She trusted us." The dog responded with a low, contented whine, resting her head gently against the table leg, where her pups now lay swaddled and safe. The pieces fit together. An abandoned alley birth, a desperate midnight journey through rain, and a silent plea for help that ended at the hospital's door. What began as mystery had become a breathtaking act of instinct and love. Dr. Elena finished examining the tiny pups and gently placed them under a softly glowing heat lamp. Their breathing steadied almost immediately, faint squeaks turning into stronger, more rhythmic sounds. The mother dog, still damp and shivering, edged closer and touched her nose to the blanket as if counting her babies one by one. She saved them, Elena said quietly, almost to herself. If she hadn't brought them here tonight, they wouldn't have survived another hour. Nurse Alicia blinked back tears. She carried them through the rain in a sealed bag, all the way to a hospital. That's not chance, that's love. Officer Dennis crouched beside the dog, finally understanding the depth of the animal's mission. You knew exactly what you were doing, didn't you, girl? He murmured. The dog wagged her tail once, eyes soft but alert, never looking away from her pups. The room filled with a gentle awe. What began as a baffling disruption had become a story of pure instinct and devotion. The black bag, once a symbol of mystery and unease, now lay empty on the counter, no longer threatening but sacred, the vessel of an extraordinary rescue. Elena gently stroked the mother's head. You did everything right, she whispered. Now let us help you rest. For a long moment, no one moved. The quiet in the room wasn't tension anymore, but reverence. A stray dog, armed only with determination and love, had turned a garbage bag into a lifeline and a hospital into a place of unexpected miracles. Morning light spilled through the hospital windows, painting the small procedure room in soft gold. The storm outside had passed, leaving only the quiet drip of rain from the eaves. Inside, the black bag lay empty and forgotten on a side table, while the mother dog curled protectively around her nursing pups beneath the gentle heat lamp. Their tiny bodies wriggled with new strength, their faint cries now steady and sure. Dr. Elena entered with a clipboard and a smile. Vitals are strong, she announced. All three are out of immediate danger. With proper care, they'll thrive. Nurse Alicia knelt beside the mother, offering a small bowl of warm food and fresh water. The dog lifted her head, eyes soft with gratitude before eating hungrily. Officer Dennis leaned against the doorway, a rare warmth in his voice. The shelter's already calling. They'll cover medical care and help find loving homes, though I suspect she's already found hers. Everyone smiled at that. Alicia gently scratched behind the dog's ear. You brought them to the right place, she said, voice thick with emotion. You saved them. The dog rested her head on her paws, tail thumping softly, as if she finally understood the danger had passed. Outside, the first rays of sun broke through the gray clouds, lighting the hospital garden. Inside, life stirred where only fear had been hours before. A stray once seen as a mystery had become a hero, and her small family's second chance had just begun.